I am so excited today that I have Chase and Christina with me. They have just completed chapter 1 in my new workbook, Good Things Emotional Healing Journal for Couples. Chapter 1 talks about how the relationship we watched our parents having growing up, what they role model to us, also affects the way we do relationships as a partner. So they're going to share how their parents' relationship affects the way their relationship is today. Well, welcome to the show, Chase and Christina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
How long have you been a couple?
About a little over 10 years now. 10 years.
Yep, since 15, so like since high school sweetheart, so long time.
So the first question that they're going to answer today is about how Christina, we'll start with you, how your parents, what they role modeled to you growing up, what that taught you about how to be a partner in a relationship today with Chase.
Yeah, absolutely. So how I grew up, it was more of a strict religious environment and very traditional and old school values. Mm-hmm. So my mom stayed at home and took care of the kids in the house while my dad went to work and provided income for the family.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Chase? When you were growing up, watching your parents' relationship, how did it impact the way you do relationship today with Christina?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the biggest thing probably was like very opposite to Christina is they were very egalitarian in their approach. So instead of having traditional male and female roles, they were very equal. So my dad raised me in the evening times. My mom was working in the evening. But more importantly than anything else, more importantly than the communication, the roles, that they were equals, is they were supporting each other and each other's aspirations and endeavors. So like both my mom and dad both started multiple businesses, which they're both gave each other the space to explore in that part of themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So is there anything that your parents role modeled to you growing up that is similar in yours and Christina's relationship, that they role modeled to you that is similar to the way your relationship is today with each other?
Absolutely. I think it is with most people. So that's where we're learning things from. With my parents, something that I've tried to change, but definitely had early on, was when, I'll give an example of what would happen in my home. So my mom would give a honey-do list on Saturdays when my dad took work off. Mm-hmm. And there'd be maybe 10 things on this list. And he would get 8 or 9 done. And he'd be thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to get home. She's going to be so excited. All of this is done. And she would get home and she would say, why is this not done? That was the one thing. I wanted that to be done more than anything else. And, I think she would have said it, even if it wasn't the one thing she wanted to get done, she focused on what wasn't done rather than what was. And that's something that early in our relationship, I definitely am guilty of doing. Yes.
What about you, Chase? Was there something your parents role modeled to you in their relationship that you notice is a similar dynamic in your relationship with Christina?
Yeah, definitely. A lot has changed in Christina and I's relationship since we've been together for like 10 years. But one of the things I did carry in that I noticed was just not being a very good listener, right? Mm-hmm. So like I said earlier, like men's brains are just like problem solvers and we want to solve problems. We don't want to listen. Whereas females just want to be heard and they want to be understood and felt heard. Mm-hmm. Well, my dad, especially during certain polarizing topics, wasn't a very good listener and would silence my mom. The same goes for me when I was first into the relationship. I didn't know how to listen to my wife, and I learned later. So, yeah.
What about, are either of you intentional about bringing a dynamic into your relationship that neither of your parents role modeled to you so that you could have a healthier relationship than either of your parents had?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Like with the example I was sharing before, I started out in our relationship kind of focusing on the things that weren't done if I asked things to be done. Mm-hmm. And now I much prefer to focus on the things he has done because it's just a lot less negativity, a lot less arguing, and just recognizing what your partner does do for you and being like, wow, thank you so much for doing this thing that I told you to do. And the other things can get done later. Also, something that was not very popular in my home was saying sorry. So I think definitely when I mess up, and this goes for my daughter as well, but especially my husband, whenever I mess up, and I have to own up to it right away, and I go to him and I say, I'm so sorry that I did this, or I'm sorry if I raised my voice, or whatever it might have been. I'm trying to be very intentional with that.
Another thing that I'm trying to be more intentional with is bringing that sort of entrepreneurial spirit. I think it's important because my mom and dad both were very intentional about having space, like giving each other space to explore those longings and that spirit, entrepreneurial spirit in the businesses. So anyway, so yeah, just being more intentional, like giving, like recently Christina wants to start a business in baking. So I'm like, all right, let's do it, and things like that. So it's just important to be intentional about that and listening. I think you can always get better. Like you can forever and ever improve on your relationship.
Yes.
So, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for being willing to share with me and with our audience today about how what we learn in relationships from our parents growing up affects the way we do our relationship today. Is there anything in closing that either of you want to say to the audience about the effects that your parents' relationship had on your relationship, or anything you want to share with them about?
When I very first started doing the workbook, I took it not super seriously, kind of as a homework assignment, and it was more of emotionally deep, like it's an emotional book, like, and so because I didn't take it seriously, things happened.
An argument enclosed. Yeah, definitely.
So it's something to just consider. Like, look, it's not an intellectual like book you kind of get through. It's not like a let's answer this. It's not a test you're taking. It's a real like opportunity to do emotional work with your spouse. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that and go along with what he said. In a part where this book is vulnerable, because it is like that, it's emotional work. I would suggest not joking about the things that your partner is being emotional about with you. Because if you actually do read this book and take it seriously, you will have amazing insights into yourself, into who your partner is, and it will help you a lot to grow and
a lot of awareness.
It'll help you a lot with your awareness in your relationship.
Thank you both so much for being willing to share with me and the audience about your own relationship and how what your parents role modeled to you growing up affects and impacts the way you do relationships today with each other. And if some of the similar dynamics that the way your parents had a relationship is in your current relationship. If you would like to learn more skills on how to have a healthier relationship than what was role modeled to you, please go to my website and order my workbook, ElisabethDavies.com. Thank you so much.